Oh, Andy. Hey, we had you started early, a little premature start, I guess.
Yeah,
You're not impacted by this tech outage, are you, Andy?
Dave, my tech is currently working. We don't utilize CrowdStrike, but apparently CrowdStrike has caused an update that has completely screwed over organizations worldwide who are now staring at a blue screen of death this morning. Pretty awesome.
It looks like a lot of airlines are getting crushed right now. So, this is just where I'm thankful sometimes that I don't travel as much as I like. We were in when we were coming back from Mexico. Again, I've got this pig pen thing with traveling,
Yeah,
going
yeah.
in travel, COVID, getting COVID. We're coming back, right? And all of a sudden we get almost all the way to the front of the counter, and all of a sudden their ticketing goes down. They're like, we don't know what's happening. Something's going. I'm like, great, I'm gonna be stuck here because you can't get us out and all this other stuff. Um, but it looks like a pretty big deal. I'm glad I'm not overseas or trying to travel home for a long weekend. It looks like massive airline outage. Like it's killing the airline industry right now.
Yeah, airlines, banks, according to reports from The Verge this morning, Dave, TV broadcasts, supermarkets, and others worldwide. CrowdStrike was putting an update in place, and something went awry, as they sometimes do, and just knocked everybody down. So the good thing is they've already identified the culprit. There's no concerns of being a hostile event of any kind, but screwing people up pretty badly on this lovely Friday morning. So hats off to CrowdStrike. The international commerce community thanks you for screwing up a Friday morning. I'll check my CrowdStrike stock later. But it's yeah, happy Friday, Dave. I'm glad that Zoom is still operating. We can still do our podcast here. Dave, I think America needs to know, the world needs to know. How's your tooth?
Oh, it's good. Like I look, we we went on quite a dentist little rant last time. Look, they were able to get me back in. I was like, hey, can you get me in as soon as possible? Because there's a lot of sensitivity around the tooth, and they were able to fit me in 8 o'clock yesterday morning. Got right in there. I was the first one called back, into the magical realm of the dental world. And they applied some new cement, tidied me up, and I was on my way 10 minutes later. I was happy, Andy. And look, I mean, it does work. I'm just hoping that the full crown will be good for the thing. I just the cost of these things is just crazy. Like
Is Dave,
you,
but the dentist, I think the dentist heard our podcast. They're like, "Hey, we're going to turn this guy's tune. We're going to make him happy." They brought you in and did a great job. So I
we've
hope.
already established that when we talk on this podcast, people listen, Andy.
Right, that's right.
That's just the way it goes. Okay, Andy, a lot to get into on a Friday. So let's start. Let's start with the RNC. Trump spoke last night. Vance spoke the night before. Um, it was an interesting tone all through those speeches. Almost, there's this air of the assassination attempt changed me. I'm not like I'm gonna be America's president now, and this is like preordained for me to be here type of thing. And like even the Vance's speech was, I was wrong about this guy. He's
Yeah,
not who I thought he was. And almost trying to get to that point all at the same time now. Andy, we talked about it on Wednesday. The calls for Biden to get out now are through the roof. I mean, the former President Obama has come out and said something. Chuck Schumer went to Delaware to say something. Hakeem Jeffries has already been on the record of saying things. Everybody's out against this now.
yeah.
This is a tough time for Biden, and it looks like Trump is I don't know. I mean, he's still spewing lies and still telling about how great things were with him. But when people consider the last 4 years, maybe they do wax poetic about what it was like under the Trump regime. So, any thoughts on your end from the RNC that wrapped up last night?
So I didn't watch the former president's speech. I'll read through it this morning and see what he had to say. I know he talked about the assassination and sort of go into detail about that. But I mean, these are pep rallies, so I don't personally like get too. They're not. There's not a lot of takeaway for me, right? They're rah speeches. Don't really care. Never didn't like pep rallies in high school. Don't care for them now. But they're big events, and right now in this moment, July 2024. Republicans are euphoric. They think they've got the election won. their candidate is indestructible and saved by the hand of God, and things are looking good for them. Democrats are in disarray. I mean, there's an article that comes out that says the Trump assassination attempt quieted calls for Biden to resign, and then two more leaders pop out saying he needs to resign right now.
Yep.
The president getting COVID doesn't
COVID
help
is,
the case any, right? I mean, it's just not. It's just a really tough time for the Democrats right now, and there's still a whole lot of time to sort things out, and there's a lot of things that can happen should Biden stay in the race that can still go in his favor, But it's just it's a very unique time in American politics. But Dave, honestly, the big takeaway for me from this week's events in Milwaukee and at the RNC, not so much the politics, but rather the story that came out about the popular hookup app Grinder, which is known as a gay dating app, and I was entertained to see the company refer to the RNC as their Super Bowl event, and it was in such prolific use during the RNC. Servers literally went down, and the network crashed because it was in such excessive use out in Milwaukee. So congratulations to RNC for not only celebrating their new nominee, but also, I guess, having one hell of a good time while they were out there, bringing down hookup apps and just bringing down the house. So interesting goings on in Milwaukee all around, Dave.
the GOP not necessarily known for their diversity on in some areas, definitely showing that they're the big tent, Andy. That used to be the GOP trying to be the big tent, right?
Yeah, they're being inclusive, Dave. They're being
They're
inclusive.
being inclusive. They're definitely being inclusive. We give them a hard time at times, but we all know that all the parties bring in all things. But the Super Bowl event, that's quite a
Yeah,
that's quite a thing. So
big, big, Dave.
um,
There's some pretty good maps. You can see down detectors. A lot of folks know. When your system goes down, and shows pretty funny little timeline that coincides with the RNC. But Dave, that's neither here nor there. Not necessarily relevant. Just an entertaining story for your Friday morning. But
all right. So
RNC,
so Andy, let's speculate here just for like the last 2 minutes of this little session here. Let's speculate. It's got to be if Biden does step down, he's got time. Again, remember in 2016, the election was all Hillary Clinton, right? Trump did not stand a chance. There's still 3 months, 3.5 months to go here. So, I mean, there's still a lot of time. Kamala Harris would likely be the nominee if Biden did step down. One, because the money is connected to their campaign already, and so they can use that money. But it just makes sense. She's the only one with any brand recognition. I mean, I've heard names like Whitmer from Michigan as being there. Some of these people would have to do it. They'd have to bring a lot out of those candidates to get them national recognition. I think Whitmer is very popular, but at the same time, is not necessarily known around the states. So, with Kamala, does she have would she have a chance against Trump, you think?
I think she had more than a chance, Dave. I mean, polling has shown that she fares just a little bit better than Joe Biden right now in a 1v1 match with Donald Trump, right? And that's with America really mostly knowing her for various stereotypes and sort of mocking of her character, right? Coconut tree comments and whatever else. America doesn't really know her very well, and so I think if it was handled well, and David, I think I talked this to you, offline, but I think Biden could step away from this like in a fantastic moment of leadership and patriotism if he wanted to, and hand the torch to the next generation. And I think a way that would, immortalize him in the pantheon of American presidents, because nobody's done that, right? Nobody's done that since, our founding when the original president stepped down after 2 terms. He could make a very bold and patriotic transition here. And that could lead to a huge, I think, outpouring of support in a lot of different ways. And I think Kamala Harris, look, she's got a lot of faults. There's a lot to criticize about her. But at the same time, she can have some very broad appeal, and I think it would reinvigorate the Democrats and a lot of their supporters. And I think with a good vice presidential candidate, I think she'd have more than a fair chance, at Donald Trump if she wanted to. I think it'd be very interesting. I don't know if it's going to go that way, but whether it's her or Wes Moore from Maryland or Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, there a couple other names have been bandied about. There's some real options out there. And I'll tell you, the catastrophic kill would be if the Democrats put Gavin Newsom in to
Yeah.
run because I think most of America would come to hate him very quickly. But there are some options out there. We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the Newsom comment. I mean, that would be like pick the worst candidate you could put up there and do it. I think it's got to be her. And look, this is an opportunity for her. Everyone knows what Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
That's well documented. Even if he has a come to Jesus meeting, for lack of a, better, like even if he's changed or whatever from this event, because as he said last night, he shouldn't be here, today. But at the same time, this is our chance to introduce a new vision for America, and it might be a refreshing change for people. All right, Andy, let's go into our next topic here. Let's talk a little sports. Andy, we're less than 10 days away from the NFL season getting going here. Are you excited?
Wait, 10 days from the NFL, Dave?
I mean, I think it,
You're talking like camps and stuff like that? I thought you meant
yeah,
like,
like
okay,
NFL
sorry, sorry.
camps and
You
stuff.
threw me off there. You threw me off there. I was like, wait, I thought we were 50 days away here. What's going on? So yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no, no.
I,
I look. You kind of trust me, Andy. I'm working my way there. We're less than a couple days away from the
no, you're right.
NFL.
You're right. Dave, I am excited. I am excited. We are getting close. We're going to see, the boys back in their uniforms, warming up, giant helmets, all the stuff we love to see at mini camps, and it is very exciting. There's a lot of questions about the NFL this season. Who's legit, who's not, who's got a chance, who doesn't, who's old, who needs to retire, how are these rookies going to do? There's a lot, and it's going to start getting sorted out quickly. Some people are going to be very excited. Some there's going to be some questions. Listen, all I know is the Lions are in the best position they've ever been in going into a new season. I am super fired up and excited for what Detroit's going to do this year. I can't wait to see that team go out on the field, look great, hopefully avoid any injuries, and just play great football from start to finish. So I am excited. I think we're now, I think, just under 50 days from actual kickoff, which has me, very excited.
So we got plenty of time to that. But until then, Andy, we've got the Olympics. That's where you thought we were going. You're like,
That's
what the
where I
hell
thought
are
we were
you
going.
talking about? Like, but you didn't have to take a minute and a half, Andy. I was just asking if you were excited about we're 10 days away from there. Gee whiz.
Dude, it's
Okay.
football. It's football. I get excited.
I know that is true. Okay, Andy, Olympics are coming. A lot of unique sports in it. Like when the Winter Olympics come around, I love the sports that I never get to see, like the biathlon. I love watching the biathlon. Even though sounds so stupid, I love seeing the way they cut through and do all that stuff. Speed skating, I love some of that stuff. But for the Summer Olympics, Andy,
Yeah.
let's go through let's go through three sports that you're excited, not basketball. I mean, basketball is what it is. What are three sports that you're looking forward to do? We'll do a back and forth here. I'll start with one of mine, Andy. I love to see volleyball out here. Whether it's the beach volleyball or the traditional gym volleyball. I love when that I love watching volleyball, Andy.
Yeah, that's a great one, right? I think beach volleyball is awesome. It just has all the vibes to me of summer, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. You've got these, athletes out there playing hard with their little Olympics, sand socks on. I think it's a great one. So that's a great pick. It's always fun to see. Yeah, it's a fun sport. It's first is impossible because to be honest, when the Olympics come on, what I always find exciting is there's that sport or athlete that you didn't know about, didn't think about, or it wasn't on your radar, and suddenly you're watching it, like anything about it, and with real intensity. And it's fun to see that, like canoeing or whatever else might come up one year that gets you excited. But there are some that I think I'm partial to because they associate with good memories, and some of them are pretty newer sports. Like one that I think is just really cool to see in the Olympics is BMX. You've got racing and freestyle. I grew up crashing on my BMX bike plenty, scuffing myself up trying to do tricks when I didn't have the proper skills or even equipment sometimes like pegs. And I love it. So I think it's really fun to see that. It's fun to see that as an Olympic sport, not traditional, but for me, it's an association back to when I was young and I really enjoy it. So I think, again, I couldn't really give you a top three, but one that gets me excited is definitely the two BMX events.
Okay, well that's good. So like what I love about the Olympics, both winter and summer, is that they have adopted some of that X Games type of stuff. And you remember when the X Games first came out,
Yeah.
it was popular, but a little trend like that got very popular. I don't know if they still have the X Games as much as they used to, because a lot of that has merged into the Olympics. A lot of those, the snowboarding,
Yeah,
the half pipe stuff, all those X game things are now Olympic sports. It's kind of killed the X Games to some degree. But another sport I love to see, again, not on that global scale. I'm not going to watch it, outside of the Olympics. Handball, Andy, team handball.
yeah,
One, it's a sport I still don't fully understand. It's a mix of indoor soccer and basketball. But I wish the United States had a better team because it looks like a sport I mean, this is a sport you would play in gym class
yeah.
in elementary school, and here it is an Olympic sport. I love watching handball. So,
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those fun ones that like you don't think about or pay any attention to. I don't even know if there is anything to pay attention to between the Olympics, but it's just kind of a crazy fun one to watch when it comes around. So that's a good one, Dave. I'll go to another sort of simpler one, but also one that's associated with my memories. I fell in love in the fifth grade with the sport of surfing, and
oh yeah.
I love it. It's just something about it captivates me. I've never, Dave, been on. I've been on a paddleboard, never been on a surfboard. My commitment is to eventually learn how to surf. I've always wanted to, never had the chance. But I love watching it. It just mystifies me. Those athletes are awesome. Seeing them out there in their heats, trying to catch those waves, trying to score points. I love it. I've loved it since I was, whatever, 10 or 11 years old. I think it's awesome. I love seeing that in the Olympics.
Yeah, that's a cool one too. I think where I'll go with my just last one, just generically, is like I love all the swimming events, Andy.
Yeah,
Like there's nothing that gets me more excited about watching the Olympics than and there's just so many great races there. Like there's a 50-meter sprint, where
yeah.
you just go one length of the pool. There's a 800 meters or six. Like how can some of these people swim like that? But I just love those competitions. I love the relay races.
Yeah.
Those are all really cool. I used to like a lot of track and field, but I'm not so sure. Like I don't follow it as much as I used to because it used to be like the 100-meter dash used to be like you knew who the fastest man alive was. I think that's kind of lost a little luster. I don't watch it as much as anymore. But any other sports that you're interested in seeing for the Olympics, Andy?
Well, I think both those are great. I mean, I still love track. Swimming is always, I think, one of the biggest ones to watch and enjoy. I think some of the newer sports are cool to see. Like, I mean, it's cool to see flag football included. It's cool to see
Oh,
lacrosse included. But one of the ones that's been around for a long time that also is always just awesome to me is water polo. I love it. I love to watch. I think it's a great sport. I wish I'd been able to play it. It's fantastic. I think those athletes work really hard doing a lot, and it's a fun game. So I'll be trying to watch some of the water polo activities as well, dude. I think it's a great one.
yeah. Oh, I forgot about water polo. That is a great one to do. So, all right. Well,
There's
there's
so many
our,
more,
our
Dave. I mean, from boxing to everything else, there's so many just great sports to watch every year.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's a lot of fun. So with France, it'll be a lot of there'll be at a time zone that's not too far ahead that we can watch a lot of these big events, whatever. So, all right, Andy, let's go to the last segment. I think Friday grab bag is gonna have to be like a thing here because there's a lot of things I want to get into and go through. Andy, one of our loyal listeners from the great nation of Germany chimed in on Threads. Again, you get a lot of good feedback on Threads, and I like how you do that. But the community there is definitely growing. But
Yeah,
he was talking about watching Patton, and it got me thinking, Andy. I love the opening scene of Patton. It's that historic Patton speech where he goes in and you don't want to die for your country. It's making the other sucker die for his country and all this
yeah,
other stuff. And he goes in and Patton was such a controversial figure. You don't have soldiers like that anymore, especially, front page news as much, where he was always out front. What's Patton doing? What's all the, Omar Bradley. I mean, obviously World War II was a different thing, but Patton was one of those, if you look back over it, the mental health of soldiers was not necessarily at Patton's forefront. We got to go, 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 kill, kill, kill. But that always reminded me. So when he pulled that up, I went back and I had to rewatch that speech because the first 5 minutes is just that speech, and it is a really good thing. Did you hear? Are you a Patton fan? Did you watch Patton?
so I mean, it was on not infrequently. We were growing up. So I seen it here and there. I don't think I ever sat down and watched the whole movie. I wasn't into war movies when I was a kid, and I didn't really appreciate the history of that. But I've seen parts of it and the energy there. I mean, historically, a great figure. I don't have the movie reference that you and Simon had.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, very, very good. All right, Andy, next thing I want to talk about, there's been a lot of discussion about the moon, Andy, colonizing the moon, right? Because that's a lot going to be the launching pad to Mars,
Yeah.
which people think we can get there in the 30s, right, Andy? So we're not too far away from that. So if we get there in 2035, 10 years from now or 11 years from now, it'd be pretty cool. But Andy, there's this discussion about we're still exploring the moon now. A lot of countries have been or are putting stuff on the moon. China has been launching stuff there. I think India did an event there. The European Space Agency is doing stuff around the moon, and then we are continuing to do that.
Yeah.
There's these caves, Andy, in on the moon that people think that could be like our, a place for astronauts to kind of build out their habitations and such. What would you like to go to the moon, Andy, and be in a cave?
Dave, I would not. I would not. I admire those that do. I appreciate those who will go out there. Personally, if we get to the point one day where there's like legitimate space travel, like I'd be curious to explore and see things. But I'm okay in the meantime with my feet on the ground, on the earth, appreciating gravity and all that we have to enjoy here. So I'll leave that to, the astronauts and military and adventurers that are going to go out there. I hope we don't have a moon-based war at any point here. But I don't have confidence in that. But no, I would pass on living in space caves. How about you? Do you want to go be a space caveman?
I think when I think about the moon and colonizing the moon, I have to go back to Airplane 2, Andy, obviously Airplane's one of the classic comedies. Airplane 2 took it a step further, and you had people on the moon and just the disaster that was going there. I loved it because William Shatner was played a great role in Airplane 2. I wouldn't want to do it, Andy. I think because one small mistake out there could wind up being just catastrophic. Like
Yeah.
one small crack in your dome and you're like, forget it, you're out. And I'm just not so sure I'm ready for that. It would take a whole lot for me to even want to consider it. I'll be long past dead at that point,
Yeah,
Andy.
I think it's just something for the future, Dave. I don't think we'll get to enjoy like, great commercial space travel in our lifetimes, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Andy. Last thing I want to talk about today is like TV shows. I want to just talk quickly about again. We talked about The Acolyte wrapping up this week. You'll watch it at some point. I watched it. I think The Landing stunk, but overall, like I didn't mind watching The Acolyte. It was a good show, but like when I see all the discussions on social media, it's almost like people have to defend why they like something. And
Yeah.
and they all have to have it's like they're trying to convince you that you should like it too. Like their view is so in deep that you have to do that. Are we in a bad state with TV that can't you just watch fucking TV to watch TV and just like if you enjoyed it, great, but you don't have to be like shamed into like liking something or not liking something. I'll use another example. The Presumed Innocent is on Apple TV right now. It's Jake Gyllenhaal, a lot of great characters on that. It's getting rave reviews. I mean, it's getting a lot. But like, do I have to like it now because everyone else likes it, or what if I hated it? So I just. Are we too stuck into trying to defend why we like something or not? Can't we just like it?
Well, I think, anytime you enter into the social media world and conversation and critics, it's divisive largely deliberately. So, Dave, I think it's enjoy what you like, ignore what you don't. Doesn't matter what others think. I think that's just like this. In our house right now, we're enjoying different anime series. I'm fine being a middle-aged man enjoying some anime with my wife and son. Some people might scoff at that. I think you enjoy whatever it is that you like, and to hell with the rest, Dave. Really, who cares?
Yeah, I just think we've gotten maybe that's what it is. It's just the social media space is like you don't like if you like something, you like something. If you don't, you don't. If you're a Republican and you want to go on Grinder, go on Grinder.
Go
Like,
on Grinder. We're not. Hey, celebrate yourself.
I mean,
Treat yourself,
celebrate
Dave.
who you are and your diversity, and and vote for Trump. I mean, that's what you can do too. So, all right, Andy, we'll end that one a little early since we went a little over on the other ones. Andy, that's a good week this week, I think.
Dave, it is a good week. There's so much, to talk on. We could easily make this a 2 hour discussion if Spotify would just pay us to do so. But hey, that's neither here nor there. But I'll say if I have two closing considerations, we've often gone back to the Arnold Pump Club. A few really good articles this week. One about just how we can always remember to keep our workout simple. Doesn't have to be hours and hours. We talked about this before. Good refresher. And Dave, just yesterday, I'll share the link later on Threads too. Some really great perspective from Adam Bornstein as he reflects back on the passing of his father, who unfortunately passed from brain cancer. And it's really thinking about the idea of pausing and reflecting on where we are in our lives, what we're doing, having the hard conversations, reflecting and having that sort of personal judgment day before that final moment comes. I thought it was really thoughtful, really resonated. Encourage folks to check that out and think about it a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely some good stuff. I love the Arnold. Look, Arnold Pump Club, to sign up for the newsletter, just do some of that stuff. And there's a lot of great stuff there.
Yeah,
And again, while he does promote some products, I mean, it's largely product promotion free. It's about telling the truth and or getting the news out there. And
yeah,
he had some really good comments about in the aftermath of the assassination attempt too. And I think Arnold's become quite a beloved figure around as he continues to do movies. I can't believe he's still in his 70s and he's doing
yeah.
action movies and all that other fun stuff. So our action shows on Netflix. Fubar.
Right.
Um, all right, Andy, I think that wraps up this week. I'm going to look forward to catching up with you on whatever happens over the weekend. We'll do that on Monday. And yeah, Andy, have fun. I'll catch up with you next time.